The dog days of summer are gone and you can feel the crisp, cool fall air starting to move in. Hi, this is Sarah with Selmond, and stick around and I'll show you how I made these first 3 fall projects on my video. What we're going to be using today for our little fall bouquet is I'm going to be using this pail I picked up at Hobby Lobby. It was in their spring and summer clearance. I got it 70% off. I think it was $5 originally, so I got a really good deal on this. I absolutely love the colors. I think it blends perfectly with fall. I'm going to be using some of the Dollar Tree floral foam and some of these fall flowers that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I thought these with the little burlap accents in them were just gorgeous. So what we're going to be doing is just putting together a really simple little fall bouquet that'll look just darling sitting in the front entryway or in a corner in your bathroom, anywhere that you just want to add a little pop of fall. Now that I have all my flowers cut apart, I'm just going to start arranging them in a way that I like in the pot. Now, while I'm going through and arranging the flowers how I like them, I was just curious how many of you like decorating for fall and what you do, what your favorite crafts are for fall. So please let me know in the comments below what you enjoy most about fall and what activities and crafts you enjoy doing. I'd really like to hear from you. Also, with the 50 Days of Christmas crafts coming up soon, let me know what your favorite Christmas crafts are, what type of crafts you would like to see coming up in that 50 Days of Christmas crafts, so I can go ahead and start getting those videos ready to go out for you to enjoy. The next thing I'm going to do is take this pumpkin I picked up at the Dollar Tree and I'm going to give it a crackle finish. Now you can do this using white glue, but since I already had on hand some of the Delta Ceram Coat crackle finish, I'm going to go ahead and use this for the project. Now, if you want the base coat to be a different color than the pumpkin already is, you would want to paint your pumpkin the color that you want to show through in the cracks. You let that dry completely, and then you go ahead and add the crackle medium over it. But since I want to let this dark orange kind of luster show through the cracks, just to give it a little bit of glam, I guess, would be the word I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and leave this and just apply the crackle directly over it. I'm going to go ahead and pull the stem out. I'm going to go ahead and just use a paint pen on the stem later. And I'm going to go ahead and apply some of the crackle medium over the pumpkin. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and leave this in. It will give me something to hold on to. So, let me go ahead. Now that I've stuck that back in, let's get going. Okay, and you just want to paint a generous coat over your pumpkin. Make sure you get down into those cracks there. Okay, and the thinner you paint this on, the thinner the cracks will be. The thicker the coating, the thicker your cracks will be. You can see I'm not painting it all the way onto the bottom of the pumpkin. That way I can just set it down to dry. You're not going to see those anyway if there was any crackle on the bottom. Just make sure you have it coated completely around. Any place that you don't have that crackle, medium, you will not, of course, have the cracks. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I want to just set that down. That's going to have to dry for about 15 to 30 minutes depending on the humidity. I have the windows open. We've got a light rain falling, so this will probably take a little bit on the longer end of things. But while that is going, I'm going to go ahead and pull this back out, and I'm going to go ahead and just paint this, and I'm just going to use a paint pen on it. You know, this is a copper leafing pen I'm using, and again it will just pull out and match a little bit of that luster that I'm leaving to poke through, and I think copper is a pretty fun fall color, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. Alright, now that this is tacky to the touch, I'm going to go back in with the Plaster Waverly chalk paint, and I am just going to start painting over, going in one direction, the pumpkin, because whatever direction you apply your paint, that's the direction the crackles will appear. Alright, there we go, and you can see the crackles starting to appear. Just want to be sure I try to get the top of this fairly well covered. Alright, and we will just let that set and dry and let those crackles form. Okay, now for this next project, I'm going to take this Mind Open 24/7 sign. I picked this up at Dollar Tree as well. As you can tell, it's really dirty. It's not a very pretty sign. And I'm going to go ahead and take this apart and paint it, and then we are going to use this as just a little happy fall sign. There we go. And I'm just going to peel this off, and we're going to get this sanded down a little bit. Okay, now at this point, this is getting a little bit harder to come up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to decoupage some fall pattern paper on the back of this, so I'm not going to worry about tearing all this off and having it perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this frame the way it is, where it's distressed, because I think that will set off very nicely with the way I'm doing the pumpkins and so forth. So I'm going to leave that. This one, we are going to go ahead and paint this, and I'm going to use a matte chalk paint and plaster. It's Waverly, and it's the same paint I'm going to be using to paint the pumpkin, the crackle pumpkin, for the decor little montage I'm doing, so that everything will kind of match. Alright, now even though I am going to decoupage the back of this, I'm going to put a coat of the plaster paint on this as well, and that is just so none of this darker color shows through and it will blend a lot better, just in case the paper is a little bit thinner. And again, when you go in and you paint, you want to be really careful not to get it up on your frame. You can mask the frame off if you want, or you can just bring your brush in at an angle and pull it very carefully down the sides. Right, and then that will keep the paint from getting up onto your frame there. Kind of the same technique you use if you're painting a room and you want to get up along the baseboards or the ceiling, just on a smaller scale. Now to do the inside of this box, I found this really pretty orangish paper. It has a watercolor effect to it. I figured it would be beautiful in this sign, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this to fit the inside of the sign. And I have also decided, because I like this color so well, I'm going to decoupage it onto this piece here. So I'm going to cut two pieces. For the inside of this sign, I measured, and this comes out to 4 15/16. So real accurate there. It's not quite 5 inches, and this one is going to be right in between there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming once I get it laid down in there. I'm going to cut them both at exactly 5 inches and trim it down as needed. And then also I'm going to cut this down, and this piece is going to be just over 3.5 inches, and again just over 3.5 inches. So again, I'm going to cut this down and a little bit bigger, and then we're going to trim it up to fit exactly. Now that I have my pieces cut, this piece is going to be decoupaged onto the small raised platform here. And I'm going to go ahead and just use my matte Mod Podge. And the reason for this is I don't want it to be quite as shiny when I'm done with it. Now, even the matte Mod Podge will leave a little bit of a sheen, but it's not a gloss, a high gloss like the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and paint my Mod Podge onto my raised plaque here. And then I'm also going to paint it onto the paper. And the reason for this is it makes it a little easier to slide it around and get it positioned the way you want, since both pieces are wet. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay it over the top and get it so that we can't see any wood over the top. Alright, and then just be sure this is smoothed down. Oops. It does like to slide. There we go, and I am just going to set that aside, let that dry while I work on the frame. Now for this piece, again, I need to just play with it a little bit to figure out exactly how it needs to be centered, because it was such an odd width. So I'm just going to push it down in carefully so I don't crease it where it doesn't need to be. That push down in there, and you can see right along there is going to be my cut line when I pull this out. Alright, and that will fit in there pretty well. It's a little bit short on the one side. Might have that laid down in there backwards. Let's try it the other way. Oops. Yep, that is the way. I did trim it just a little bit shorter than I wanted to, but we really won't see that when it's finished, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to take my matte Mod Podge, and I'm just going to coat the inside of the box. And just the back, mind you. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to put a thin coat over the paper. And I'm not going to worry quite so much about the paper this time because there's not going to be a lot of room to slide it around as there is when I'm putting it on top of something. But I do want to be able to get it wet so it doesn't tear as we're trying to move it around. And let's hope I'm getting this in the right way. Go. And again, you just want to move your fingers around, get it so it's smooth and tight in there. You don't want the edges to curl up on you. There we go. Okay, and then we just let that set up and dry as well. Right, now that the paper has had a chance to dry and the Mod Podge is set, what I'm going to do is just take a piece of sandpaper, and where this paper hangs over, we're just going to sand that off. Alright? And it will just come off very nicely and cleanly here. There we go. Now we have a nice crisp clean edge on there. Now if you want to go in and highlight it with some darker color, you can do that. You can go in either with like the copper paint pen that I used to paint the stem of the pumpkin with, or you can go in if you have a brown ink pad and you can just kind of bring it in like I did on my thankful pumpkin sign. So there's any number of ways that you can kind of play with the paper. It's up to you. And as you can see, once you set that, center that in there, you've got kind of your raised platform. It shows off a little bit anyway with the different colors in the paper. It does stand out without any additional shading around the outside edges or distressing. So it's completely up to you how you want to do it. I am going to go in and edge and distress the outside edges a little bit with my Memento and Potter's Clay, and I'm just going to lightly bring it along the edges, kind of darken those just a bit. And you can also do this with paint if you don't have any inks. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. I just find this is quick and neat and easy. And you can pretty much control how much of the ink you get along the edges. Alright, I think that'll look, that'll be just enough to set it off, yeah, just a little bit more there without being too in your face with it. It gives it kind of a softer edge. Now if you're good at hand lettering, you can hand letter this. There are ways you can go in and trace out off of copy paper how to draw out your letters and then paint them in or color them with a marker. So there are any number of ways that you can add wording to this. I cut mine out on my Silhouette Cameo, and I'm just going to place these vinyl letters down. I'm just going to get these off of the backing here. There we go. And I'm just going to center these And then I'm just going to smooth this down. And then when I pull this backing away, the letters should stick to the paper. Should, I said. There we go. Oh, let's get that back on there. Guess I didn't burnish those down very well this time. Let's go ahead, and you do want to be sure you get those secured down. And I forgot to do that step because my head is foggy with cold medicine. There we go. Alright, now the next thing you can do with this is you can take a nonstick piece of paper, place that down over it, and then again go over the letters to be sure they're well adhered after you pull that backing off as well. And with that, you can even just take your fingers, rub it over. Again, something like freezer paper would work for this. This is the backing from the vinyl itself, but I'm just pushing it down on there. Alright, isn't that cute? I love that font. And then I am just going to hot glue this back down into the center of this frame. Isn't that cute how they used a little heart on the back of that? I love that. Alright, and we'll just get that centered on there. Alright, and there is our little hello fall sign. Alright, and then the last thing I want to do with this is I do want to add a little twine bow to the top of it, just to add a little bit to the charm of the thing. To make my bow, I'm going to take a piece of twine and I'm just going to wrap it so it comes out even about 3 times around my fingers, so I have 3 complete loops, and I'm going to then bring it down in the center of both loops, and then I'm going to take a second piece of twine and I'm going to tie it off. Okay, and to do that, I'm actually going to wrap this around on the one side. Kind of get these evened off. You can tell I'm really good at this. Wrap this around. Okay, and then I'm going to hot glue it so that where it comes down at the bottom here, it will be at the bottom of the bow when I glue it to my piece. If you know what I mean. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay, now I have that tied off, and I'm going to bring my frame down. I'm just going to place the bow right up here. Oops. And I'm just, with a little bit of hot glue, place it on my frame and kind of fluff the loops a little bit. There we go. Alright, and there is our little frame. Now these are kind of flopping up a little bit, so I may just take a small dab of hot glue and hold those down on each side. And you can see here where this is starting to unravel. We're going to fix that real quick. And all we're going to do to fix that is take our Mod Podge. I'm just going to dip my finger in the lid. Let's get this twisted back up. And I am just going to smear a little bit of Mod Podge around the edge there. Okay, and then that will hold that. And I will do it again with this side where it's starting to unravel too. And remember, the Mod Podge will dry clear, so you really won't see it once it's dry. Okay, and then lastly, I'm just going to use just the smallest bit of hot glue to kind of hold those down so they look like they're just falling over the edge. Alright, and there we go. There's our little Hello Fall sign. Didn't that just turn out adorable? So let's go ahead and get these set up and see how everything looks put together. Here are the finished products from the video today. Over here is our 3D Hello Fall sign. Beside it, I have setting one of the little mini pumpkin clips from Dollar Tree. Up there is that adorable little twine bow. Down here, this is one of the velvet pumpkins from Dollar Tree, as well as the crackle pumpkin that we made. And here is our bouquet of the burlap flowers. Aren't those just adorable? I absolutely love those flowers they had this year. So there are the finished products. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another one of my videos again. You guys have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button as well as share it with friends who may also enjoy it. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button, and when the notification bell pops up, be sure you hit that as well so you never miss a video. And, as always, have a great day and stay crafty.